Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. On this one here, we're back on the 49 Chev. This one here, we're going to rebuild the front of the hood. We're going to use basic tools, nothing fancy, just what I got kicking around the shop here. Grinder, MIG welder, hammer. Ooh, and we're going to use a cutting butt too. Stick around. Okay, it's time to get back on the old 49 Chev. In the last video, I went and tidied up all the seams down along here and worked this entire rear section back here, filled in a wider gap here, added a lip on the inside here. Got all that done. Now what I'm left with is this front section here. I got everything completed basically from the washer back on both sides, okay? So now I got to figure out what's going on here. There's a lot going on here, the way they got it all faded out, and then it goes away to nothing here, and then it fades all the way out, all the way over to here. All this here is all made up. I don't like the idea that the actual molding comes up to the actual hood itself, and it actually has to pass into the hood, okay? I would like to have just about this much of this here coming straight down, right, before I add a eyebrow over the grill, okay? Just a small bit, just to show the transition from one to the other, and to give some definition to the actual eyebrow that goes over the top, okay? What's done here is a whole bunch of stuff going on there. Everything's homemade, from here right over to here, and the bottom side of this hood, everything's homemade. This here contour and this here contour is totally different, okay? What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to cut everything off it, okay? I got to start somewhere, and I can't go trying to fix this up. I'm going to chop this off here, chop this off here. I'm going to cut about an inch and a half or so or more off the bottom of the hood. I don't want to go getting in, cutting all this up here, cutting a big piece out of it because this is done to it. Like, this is a pretty decent repair under this here when they pie cut it. It's about average of what guys used to do. But I'm not going getting right up into that because there's just too much going on, okay? I'm just going to work on getting this section here looking right on all this here. Now, the problem I got is when I cut this clear and cut this clear, there's nothing holding the fenders on. They're just laid on top of the rad sport. But I'm worried about when I cut this here, the fender's just going to want to go like this on me, right? So I'm going to run some piece of old scrap steel across here now, try to hold the whole front together. Because when I cut this clear, there's going to be nothing holding them two fenders together. So I come up and I just went through some junk pile. I come across this piece here. I'm going to weld that from there over to there and just weld it on just so I can chop this all out of the way. The biggest thing with me now is I got to get everything out of the way here so I can start designing and figuring everything out. So I got temporary support put across there now, just temporary welded on, just to keep those fenders, because I think the fenders are going to do this when I cut them off, okay? And I want to keep some support on them. I'm going to weld these on up here after, but I think I'm going to move it in a small bit. I think I like to close up the gap a little tiny bit more, so I'm going to tack weld them on there temporarily. Not going to worry about this here. But I got a lot of cutting to do. All this here got to be cut out of here. This is all homemade, all buggered up, all that there. I'm just going to cut it all out of the way. Get it out of my way. I'm going to cut her back as far as here, get rid of everything, clean everything up. Up here, same thing. All this is homemade. Decent job done on this one here. All this live up here. But the latches here, I got to cut that off. I'm going to cut the bottom section off of this here. So I'll get all that figured out. So I'm going to go ahead now and start chopping everything off. That looks better already. I just cut back till I had good metal. I just started seeing things and just cut off those brackets and angle pieces and everything cut on, so I had to chop back even more. All this here was buggered up here. I noticed part of the lip was grinded clear up here, so I got to install that again in here. Chopped everything off the front of it here, and I moved this back so I got room to work, and I just wanted to go back to fresh metal. Didn't want to have nothing there that was all distorted. Well, I wasn't going to fix nothing, so there's my shape there that I got to go by. And same with over here. I got my shape there, right? The hood itself, I'm here looking at it. This here seems to be decent, okay? But I'm not liking this middle section. This is extremely low here in the middle, right here in the section here. And they just come down and they dip here and then they tip out. I think this should be a gradual flow down to the nose cone like this here. Of course, there's got to be a peak on it as well, right? So I think I might just chop this center section out of this, dolly up these edges here a bit, and then install a new piece in the center of the hood. Here's everything I cut out, front of the hood. Seems like it started off to be a decent job, okay? Over here, this all seemed to be, well, not this side here. This side over here seemed to be a decent job. Right there, look. All welded on the inside and rolled off the edge, and it just seems like the more they got over to this side here, the worse it got. Right? But, yeah, this piece is welded in there, and this is the other section I deal with. You can see the later metal that was welded in because it's rusty. Right. He loved filling up gaps with weld. He used a lot of gap be gone on that one. Holy blessed. Look. And this stuff here I was talking about, look, I don't know what's going on here. It's the way the fender was shaped and stuff like that. I just had to cut it all clear. Right. And that was the lip that was gone on it. Right. The other side was much the same way. Had an inner structure in it, I want to get clear of it all. Right, that's the original where the fender and everything used to bolt on. Right. Put a ratchet strap on the front end, pull it together a small bit, got the gaps where I liked them, then I went and welded them on to the rad support here and here. So that way now I got it welded on here and it's welded on down here so the fender can't move like this. Also went and chopped the center out of this here. There was too much going on there and it wasn't going to flow right to what I had vision in my mind, and I had to get clear of that. A lot of times I talk about using stuff there for templates and using them for fitting. As you realize, all this was buggered up before. I got no templates, okay? Well, all I got is decent metal to start with, okay? Over here, I got this here is pretty good all the way along here. I got a uniform shape there that I can actually, this side is the same as that side and whatever. I still got to do some work up here to make that better. What I went and did is I trimmed this up a bit better. I cut the center out of this here so I had a little bit of a flat area to lay against. And I worked this corner over here. I found it was a bit low, so I dollied it, I cut it, and I re-welded it again, dollied it. So I got a nice platform to start from. Came over here and got some of my scrap shelving steel that I got, and I cut a section out that was too high, too wide. I want this to go down over an inch on the bottom side because I cut an inch off the bottom of the hood, so this is almost 2 inches longer. Then what I did is I just turned around and went over in the brake and I put a slight bend in the middle of it, okay? All this is done freehand here. The slight brake was there. I bent it, and I bent it too far and I had to straighten it up. This here, I put a crown in it, and all I did is I just bent that by hand. I just twisted it and twisted it, bent it by hand so there's a little crown on the panel. So I mounted it on the car and I played with it, fit it, tweaked it. I had to roll the top corners a small bit. I got it mounted on my clecos now. It's all overlapped there. I wanted to stand back and make sure that it flowed nice to the rest of the hood. Went this way here, okay? And then it flowed off the sides here and flowed off the sides here. And it was long enough that I can cut off for the bottom of the hood. Now that I'm happy with that, I can go on and start working on these pieces. Now someone might say, well, Tony, why don't you try to make it all out of one piece? The problem you got is this panel here, if you look at it this here, this panel goes this way, okay? And this panel goes this way, over exaggerated. So you got to deal with that. Then you got this panel that wants to go straight up and down, but over here this wants to roll off, okay? I took a neutral spot, which is nice and straight. Right where everything just goes straight up and down, that's where I'm going to put my joins to. So then I can work this here going this way, and I haven't got to worry about this here. And also haven't got to worry about this here, having to continue on with this here. It can be tangly trying to do this all in one piece. I try to make pieces, you know, as least amount as I can, but if I can make the job simpler by just making it in multiple pieces, I'll do it, okay? I just find it's very frustrating when you're doing with large panels and getting this fitting right, and this is all twisted up, then twisting this back here and getting this fitted, and then this here is all twisted over this way here and all that type of stuff. It just makes life a lot worse. So what I need to do now is I need to go cut out 2 strips of steel that'll fit in here. Now what I'm after is this contour here. So I'm going to have it so it overlaps a bit here. It's going to be too high here, and it's going to come over and meet this here. And I'm just going to follow this here, overlap the fender here, come over here and make a piece that'll fit here, and I'll click that on there as well. There's your little piece, all click out in place. I got it so it goes down here and it follows the flow over here on this side, okay? Sticks up a small bit, just when I put my finger on it's good, okay? It follows this shape here, so that follows that there, but as it comes down here, it just fades out, and then it wants to point out this way here. So I got to make sure that 2 of these lines up, and all this is good here. So she's all flattened along here, all along here. I went ahead and made the second piece, did the same process again, made sure that it overlapped over here. Came in across, had it so it roll up along, and lined up here. Not going to weld this on yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to weld all these pieces together here now. And I'm going to build this whole thing and use the Clecos. The last thing I'll do is I'll weld it on, because I want to put the lip on the bottom of the hood as well. And I would like to get it on the inside and weld it all up on the inside, so I got a nice strong edge all the way along. So that's the next step I'm going to do now, is weld these here together and make sure that they're nice and straight going this way here. And then I'll get all that finished and ready to go, so then I can start working on cutting it off and trimming up your corners. Tony, what have you got going on here now? Well, you saw me, I grind and dressed all that up, and then you see me put a slice in that there. That is the height that I want the center of the hood, okay? Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut this hood off perfectly straight. I'm using the headlights openings to actually cut a straight line. I got a long piece of flat bar. Well, this stuff here is a small bit angle, but it's a straight edge, okay? And I got to clamp down on both sides, and I measured up from the bottom of a point here to here on both sides and line it up with the cut I had in the middle of it. So when 2 of these were the same measurements and it lined up with the cut, I took some tape then and went in and eyeballed it and taped it along there and taped it along there. So it'd give me a straight line to cut across. That will give me a straight edge across the front of the hood, and it'll line up with the hoods. You won't have something that's going uphill and downhill. Not going to cut the corners yet. Like I've always said before, 1 step at a time. I had 3 pieces, I made it 1. So I got that done, I reinstalled it. Now I'm trimming it to fit. I want a straight line to start with, so I'm going to put a straight line in the hood first, and I got that marked, so I'm just going to chop that off there now. I went ahead and I got that chopped off, so now I got an even across the front. Look at that, templates. What I did then is I found the center of the hood, and I went and put a mark. I put a cut right in the center of the hood there. Then what I went and did, I turned around and I measured from here out to a point on the lights here, and same with on the other side to make sure that it was in the center. It was in the center. So then I got a piece of cardboard, template, and I laid it in place there. I marked it down across here, so there's a straight edge coming down here. So that's going up along the side of the hood there, and this is going along the bottom of the hood here. That's in the center there. That's on the edge up there. Now, I'm going to be cutting this off, but now I got to figure out some sort of curvature. Before it was a great big one. I don't like that. I think this is going to be a smaller one here, just a gradual turn. I don't want it bigger than what's on the back corner, okay? Because it's a pretty small one on the back corner, so I like to keep a small one up front of the hood so it's all symmetrical all the way around. Now, what's interesting about this, when I flip this around and line it up on my little mark, it lines up good on the edge of the hood up here. Look. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the design I want here. I'm going to cut a curvature on that somehow. And then I'm going to mark it over there, mark it over here, and then I'm going to cut it off. Then I'll have the shape of the front of the hood the way it's supposed to be, and then all I got to do is just cap the entire front of it. And there you have the look. Comes up there now, just curve down, just use the gallon can. Laid it on there and put the 2 points on and cut out the razor blade. So I'm going to go ahead now, mark that, and cut that out. I'll do the same for over there. There you have it. Both sides all trimmed off. So they're symmetrical now. One's the same as the other side. What I got to do next now is I want to cap this end here. All the way around here, I want to cap this here. And I got to make sure this is straight. I'm not going to worry about trying to make a perfect piece to fit up there. I'm just going to get some flat steel laid here, tack welded along here, make sure this is straight this way here. And it's on the right angle that I want it on. I'll trim it off after, make sure there's enough material on the inside. Over here on this side here, I'm going to cut this here. I'm going to scribe it and cut it and get this here to lay down flat. I'm going to put a quick tack on that there to hold that in place so I can get this corner right to roll around here. And I'm also going to run strapping across this here and over to this here because I find this is high and this is low. But when I put strapping across it, it pushes down on this here where I want it to, and it pulls this back to where I want it to be. It's only temporary just so I can get this piece made up, the weld on here. Same process I'm going to do over here. So I'm going to go ahead now, get this stuff cut, and get this all framed up and ready to go to start capping the ends of it. So I went ahead, you saw me cut that piece out of there, and as you can see now that's actually butt welded in there. I pushed this corner back down and tack welded it on. So this here is the same height. Done the same thing over here. Cut it off, same height, so that when I caps my end, my cap will line up with the rest of the car. I got these little makeshift braces put on here now. And what I got these on for is I want everything to line up. This still got a bit of a curvature in it when it's rested and stuff like that. It was in too far. This here is solid, okay? I went and laid it up against that there, clamped it onto it, and tack welded it. You saw me welding this one over here. You can see me pulling this one in and pulling this one in, just so I can get all this to line up nice. So this has got a nice flow going from one to the other now, okay? That was the whole purpose behind that. Also, here in the middle, this was bent in where I had the piece joined here. There was a bit of a twist in it. So by clamping it here, that brought that out. And then I eyeball down, looking down it this way here to make sure that it looked good. Did the same thing with the other side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some scrap steel, again, clean it up, and I'm going to cap all that there from the bottom side. I'm going to make sure this is level going in this way, not on an angle. It's going to go straight in this way here. So I'm just going to get a large piece so I can actually see what's going on, and run it across here and just bend it up around the corner a small bit. I might just come to here because I got to work my way around these here. I got to do some trimming. I want to try to see if I can get all this here corner in one piece. I don't want to join it in the middle because that's always the weak point. I want to make a piece to go from about right here to about right here, one piece, and then I'll make my two corners after the fact, right? So I got this piece here cut out, cleaned up, sand it down, I marked the center of it so I can know where the center's in the hood. And on this side here, on both sides, I marked back 1.5 inches and I cut it. And I cut it over here because that's how far in I got to go in terms of to have a lip on the inside of it. Now this lip is going to be shaped like this, but I'm using this whole piece and I'm not going to worry about cutting the pattern. I'll cut it off after. So I'm going to go over now and line that up somewhere, put that in the middle, line that up, and then tack weld it in place. Here's all I got done. I got the piece put across there and I got a tack welded on. I got all this access out here for a reason. I'm trying to have this level this way. If I trim that off perfect to fit, I don't know what angle is on inside there. But leaving this out here now, I know that that's level going across there. It's not tipped down on this side, it's not tipped up, nothing like that. So I know that when I weld this on here now, this is in the right position. I put it on the mark over here, so there's lots of material in here and lots of material in here. Now there's like close on 3 inches right here. I'll trim all that all after the fact. But I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to take my time, weld every second bit, let it cool, and weld all this on and have this done. And I'll get this welded on and roughly trimmed off now before I start making these pieces here. So I just went ahead and I trimmed that off, got that out of my way there. I got to grind dress that later. I got to start making these side pieces now. All I'm going to do is I took a piece, I measured from here to here. The height of it was about 5 inches and a bit. And the distance from here to here was about 3. So I'll take this piece here now. That's going to slide in there, curve down around there. And I'll trim it up to fit. And then we can weld that one on. So I got 2 of them welded in place. Crudely, but they're there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove these here and finish welding up these corners here on both sides just to see how they're moving. Then I'm going to take the panel off and weld it on the inside. Very interesting. Doesn't that look lovely? Look. What are you at, Tony? I'm going to trim that up there now. Get these corners fitting nice here. And then I'm going to weld all this inside here. Get the light on it. Get all that welded inside there. Up along there. Get this fitting nicer here. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to clean up and grind all this out here. So I got a nice edge and everything on it. Trim this off down along here to give me a nice normal lip. I might leave the center of it yet, I don't know. Maybe the whole works there for now. Because I got to put, no, I'll trim it off. We'll worry about it later. I'll trim all this off as well. And yeah, that'll be it. So I got some trimming to do, some adjustments to do. But first of all, I'm going to get 2 of these here put together so I can weld them on there. So I got the inside all welded up. I got this set up here now. All I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this flat this way here. And then grind it flat this way here. Much the same as you can see I got done here. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. Grind that flat there, and then I'll come back and then I'll grind this flat here. So I get a nice crisp edge all the way around here. And make sure that I like the edge and the flow of it. And then I'll round it off after the fact. So I'm going to go ahead now and get all this grind up. And if I got to spot weld a few spots again, touch up a few spots again, I'll do that. Well, it's a little while later. I got it all grinded, re-welded, and grinded again. And I taken it to the point where I just left a sharp edge on it, okay? I grinded it flat here, I grinded it flat here, and you're left with a sharp edge, okay? Reason why I do that is you can sight down it, keep an eye on things, make sure it's straight, all that type of stuff. Make sure your curvatures looks nice, everything like that. So this is completed now. I went ahead then and I went and taped off a section here and give myself about 1.25 inches or so all the way around and joined it all in, all the way up through here. All right, so that's ready to go. All I got left to do now to finish this off is just round out this edge, and then we can go over and test fit it. So there it is. I'll work on these transitions later on. I'll get them there fine-tuned that over there. Same with this one over here. Right. This front section looks good now along here. That looks the part. I had to move everything up a small smidgen, had cut it off across top here. What I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to fit it in place, put a couple of tacks in it, weld it in. I'm just going to do the cutting butt all along there and cut everything out of the way and put that in permanently. There it is, all tack welded in place. Get ready now to do the cutting butt on all that. I'll start from one end and work my way around, take my time, doing the cutting butt on this here, all the way around here, and get all that there put in place. So. First time in a long time that the piece on the back gave me trouble. Every single spot weld up here welded to the inner panel perfectly. And I can't get up inside there. The problem with it is, of course, that's usually the way it is. If you get at the panel, it never sticks, right? But there's a framing there, and I can't get behind the frame. And every single one of them, I end up having to cut all this clear, separate it all, I'm going to work it out, then I got to go back and fit all that back on again. Minor, just a bit more work than I expected. But I want to get that piece out, and that's what I had to do. I had to cut all that there clear, then I had to pry it apart. It was welded solid on that corner, I had to cut it off. Amazing, just little spot welds, and nope, she held on. Well, that put up a fight. Got that piece there, that piece there. The problem I forgot is this section here up in the front. Look, that was joined together there in the middle. And that's the way the two-piece hood goes, and that there would not let go, and all this here was hid behind a casing. So I had to cut everything off, then I had to run a zip blade down through all that there to cut that off. My mistake. I got it out though, it's the main thing. Now I go back to get everything welded back up again. As you can see, I had to cut all the top along here, get it all clear, and up the two sides, try to get that piece out of there. Everything stayed, I kept all the bottom alone. And so it lined up pretty good. Right here in the middle now, it lines up nice, better than it did before. And I'm going to start here and I'll work my way out and push this corner and everything in and get it all fitting better than it did. And I'll get this all tack welded together. So I went ahead and I went around and fit everything. Then I went back over it. Took one every inch or so, checking all of the overlap, making sure everything felt good along here. So everything was the same height from one transition to the other, one metal to the other. I got all that done now. It's just a matter of going back now and taking my time welding that up. I'll start over here and I'll start tack welding together and work my way across, let it cool down naturally, come back and start off again, do it all that way. So I'm going to go ahead now and just blow through this down, get this all welded up. You've seen this enough on my channel now, but that's basically the old cutting butt. You haven't seen that in a while. And this one put up a fight when I got him. Anyway, get that welded up. Got it all welded up. I'm going to go ahead now and grind all this up. Just some 24 on the grinding disc. And get all this grinded up there now. There you have it. All grinded up. All dressed up, all the seams over here. And over here, got it all dressed up. Open it up. See the way it goes along the side there? I got to do a little bit more work there. Over here, same thing. Flows around the back of it. Now I have been tweaking this since I've been doing different things. You know, just tweaking it a bit here and there and playing with it and trying to straighten it up a bit here and there. Playing around. What's funny about this here, and I've always noticed about welding, all along here, okay, all this is opened. I can get at the back side of that and I can dolly it all up. From here up, I can't get in there, okay? There's a frame going across. I got to take the frame out in order to fix it. I'm probably going to end up taking it out because it's really bad. She tucked on me right here, okay? My own fault. Put a bit too much heat in it. Right here she tucked in, and she tucked in over here, right? From the previous where I come over and I come down. Well, no, that's all original. That's the way, well, I wouldn't say original. That was already there. But she did tuck on me right here. From about right here, she got a bit of a tuck in her. This side over here is best kind, and all down here is all good, going along here. But just right there, you can see it in the light when you get the light on it. See the tuck in it, see it there? I don't mind showing you that. That's annoying. I find that very annoying. And the reason for that is heat, okay? I welded that, and I went back over it again, and there was a couple of spots and everything on it, and I blew the heat into it. And it was my own fault, okay? I should have took my time. I'm here now, getting to the point now of just trying to glue up this front of this hood so I can get started on the lower section. But that's all you can do. I'll go back and probably address that because I know there's a big dent over here too. And if you open this up, there's a frame going from one side to the other. Look. And everything's behind that. Every issue I got is behind that panel. Now, if I took that panel out when I take the hood off, I can probably get it off. But that's it. That's all you can do. But we have a front on the hood. That's the first part of it. So now I got all the hood, good seams, lined up around the back, all up this side here, the back side there. Got nice turning curved edges on it. I got rid of all the mess that's on the front of it. the way it was all done. It's symmetrical left and right, straight across the front. All that is done. Anyway, there's a bit of work gone into this. I'm going to leave this one here. I hope the tips were good.